So, have you heard this one? Apparently, they're having not a safety stand down, but a extremism stand down in the military. Now, I've seen division wide safety stand downs, and the whole division stopped action and went and did safety training because someone got killed. We were going to NTC and they got smashed by a tank, and for the whole division to stop to do this was huge. And the amount of people that had to stop mission and come in, it was insane. For the whole army to be doing it, the whole military, it's huge. Now they have 60 days to do it though, so within the 60 days they have to. But it's concerning, man. Like, I don't want a bunch of soldiers being vetted for their political views. That's how brown shirts get formed. Like, okay, we're gonna have our elite fighting troops only be Democrats or whatever, and so now you've got the Democrats have an army. That's ridiculous. The idea of vetting people for their political views, especially when they're mainstream views.
Yeah, my brain's going 100 miles.
No, I imagine, man.
Oh my God.
The danger and slippery slope of this is intense. Where it could lead, and McCarthyism in the ranks. It's insane.
So my question is, and I've not heard this defined, and I want it defined. What exactly is extremism?
Yeah.
What
are these extremist views?
Is it? Like, what does that mean?
Well, they talk about that in the damn thing, and they said at the very bottom that they're going to define that later.
You can't.
I know, right?
That later? If you don't know what you're looking for, how can you figure out what you're looking for later? You haven't even addressed a problem. What's the problem?
Well, they said that the problem was that there was too many active duty service members and veterans that participated in the January 6th. See, they're taking what happened at the Capitol and making that an excuse to do things that they normally wouldn't have any kind of political pull or power to do, you know? So they're using it as pretext to, I mean, because they seriously think that they call it insurrection in the memo, and they say that the people who participated in it they're the ones they're being concerned about. So if you went to one of those protests at the Capitol, in their mind that's called they're consider that an extremism, or that's what they tend to say.
But weren't people gathered at the White House to
Capitol, yeah.
to
peacefully
as a peaceful assembly?
Well, as Trump said in minute 18, like 26 seconds in, peacefully and patriotically march and have your voices heard.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there was an S ton of people there. There's very nice people on both sides. All right.
Sure. And there were things that happened, and I don't condone the violence, and I'm not saying that, but those people did not represent me. I made my voice heard by voting.
Well, where were you on January 6th?
I was at the state capitol in Texas
to
make sure.
Brother, I saw you.
I think you were there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and why were we there?
We rode together, bro.
That's how we got there.
We came to peacefully assemble to redress our grievances to our government.
But not only that, what else were we there to do to prevent?
I don't know. What would you?
Well, I certainly didn't.
I was armed as shit.
Yeah. In fact, I had to leave some of my armament behind.
Yeah, I remember.
But what I didn't want to see is my state capitol be vandalized, and I was looking for other groups like Antifa, who absolutely hate freedom, and they use fascist methods of getting their point across. But so we were there to peacefully assemble and to protect those who wouldn't or couldn't protect themselves. So those people that
that's kind of like that's always on the menu.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like everywhere I go. So in addition to that.
In addition, right.
Like what I said.
Yeah. And so these people that stormed the Capitol in Washington, they don't represent me.
Yeah.
And my views are not extreme. And even still, that was a small fraction of the people that were there that actually did that.
The amount of people that were in the Capitol dome, the amount of people that are doing bad things was a small fraction of them. The other people came in because they're stupid and the doors were open and the cops were letting them in. They figured, oh, okay, I guess we're going this way.
Well, that was the other thing. Like,
there's a lot of people like that.
We both did security and force protection in the military. I don't know of ever a scenario that we would ever allow just anybody just come on base.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and that's supposed to be the most fortified, secure location in the history of ever anywhere.
Well, it sure as hell is now. Have you seen it?
Well, yeah. They brought in 20,000 guardsmen.
Well, there's still a lot deployed there, and the fences are those gates. They're there. They're not leaving. Yeah, insane.
I got a lot of opinions on that, but so my question is on this is what exactly is extremism? Is it because I am a conservative and I support the Constitution and I love nationalism. I love being American. I love America, and
so does everyone you're talking to.
When I served the country, I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Like I didn't take an oath to fight for the Chinese Constitution or any other constitution of our enemies.
Yeah, I'm all for it. What if they found someone like Nadal?
Who?
Hassan Nadal, that Major Hassan.
Sure,
shooter.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but they're not looking for him.
No, they're not.
They're looking for people they don't like.
They're looking for me.
For viewpoints they don't like.
Yeah, which don't fit their agenda.
Like you said, you're absolutely right. The thing that's most important that they should be looking at, if they judged this, what extremism is, for things that deviate from the Constitution, I'd be like, well, get in there. All right, yeah, go find out which service members lied on their oath and don't want to defend and protect the Constitution. Get them the hell out of here.
Can I just go on the record as saying Trump supporters in whole, not in entirety, but in whole, are not extremist. They're not storming Capitol buildings and trying to kill people and do horrible things.
When the Overton window's so far shifted left.
But I want to know why so much attention. I mean, one, it's the Capitol building, but why are we not talking about the Antifa riots and the Black Lives Matter riots? We don't talk about that. And governors in those states who just stand down, law enforcement, stand down, let them get it out their system. Even if those people did do that, they felt that they had been completely disenfranchised, that their vote was stolen from them, that they felt that that's what they were going to do as a result. It's really no different than Black Lives Matter feeling disenfranchised by the system they say as a whole.
I'm about to do my Newsmax impression again. All right, I'm going to do a Newsmax impression if you mentioned that Victor Foxtrot again.
You're going to walk off?
And everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little.
Yeah.
You're going to walk away from the meeting? Yeah. No, I again, I don't condone it, but I don't think, I still feel robbed. I feel absolutely disenfranchised.
All of them
robbed.
had a reason.
They had a reason. Doesn't justify it, and I don't support it.
They took actions beyond what was reasonable.
Because you, one, are a Trump supporter and or you believe that your vote was disenfranchised does not make you an enemy of the Constitution, enemy of America, enemy of the government, enemy of the state. And the Democrats will never get unity. They talk about, well, now it's time to be unified. That does not unify anybody.
No, totally not. Well, but as long as it's that extremism is narrowly tailored, as all things that infringe on the First Amendment are supposed to be, political thought being one of them.
Right, and you're still going to have a small fraction of society that hate you because of the color of your skin, and that hate isn't white on black only. It's white on black, black on white. It goes across all colors. Everyone, everywhere. It's not just a white problem. Like, racism is not a white issue. It affects everyone of all colors. Does that make sense? So you can't just say, well, we need to root out the white hate in our military. I don't know, man.
That's why this haziness about defining what is extremism for yourselves,
sure,
instead of having a unified standard across the service, is very dangerous.
So we're going to stand down and find something we haven't yet defined.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, and you and I both know, guys are like, what in the hell?
I got news, man. Most military members are Trump supporters.
Well,
like vast majority of veterans and military members are Republicans and conservatives.
I don't disagree with. I mean, see, that's the thing. When you talk about being a conservative, like, that's opposite of progressive. And there's one party that's progressive, and there's one party that's conservative. I mean, that's traditionally how it is.
Usually, yeah.
So, there you go.
What else needs to be said?
Yeah, if I was a bad guy, I've got a 60-day window to go.
Why, if our greatest enemies don't need to do anything except sit back and watch us destroy ourselves? I mean, That's the biggest thing that Russia and China and Iran could ever do right now is just be like, have fun. Go get them. You know, sow little seeds of dissent that have already been reaped.
Yeah.
To the other side. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I really
also,
don't like this.
Like that's not the focus of the military. Like, how can you stand in defense of your nation when your eyes are off the world? You're no longer standing guard. You have 60 days that you're sitting on your hands, wondering what in the hell.
A big thing that I'm concerned about this is they do take, Austin does take some language, and it was important. I saw this language where he says that they're going to look at actions that cause military members, actions derived from these extremist ideologies. So it's important that he said actions, because I don't care what kind of ideology you have, as long as you keep it to your damn self. I mean, people are crazy, man. They got all sorts of different ideas about how the world works and the universe and all that nonsense. As long as they do their job and don't let it spill out, man, go ahead and think the Earth is flat, or whatever the hell it is you think it is. You know, you get a lot of different divergent opinions.
I've never heard the moon being flat.
Well, I'm just making the most outlandish thing I could think of, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. They have some stupid ideas about stuff, and God bless them. It's their right to, as long as those stupid ideas don't infringe upon their job. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, to a certain extent, of course.
Yeah.
You don't want people actively working and having ideology that is, you wouldn't want, someone like Major Hassan. You wouldn't want someone like him in the ranks at all.
No, I think that's a different.
I don't want the KKK in there either, but I don't want street gangs, which both happen.
Yeah.
In fact, Fort Hood had a street gang problem where people were joining the military, so they'd get out and they'd go educate their gang members back home, and suddenly got a paramilitary force.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened. Fort Hood was a prime example of it.
Yeah.
Military police,
that's
baby.
A bit of a stretch, and it may be an unpopular view, but I know jihadist and radical Islam that's a real threat. That's a bigger threat than the Crips and Bloods. Honestly.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, depends on where you're at. If you're in downtown Chicago, I don't know. Yeah, South Side.
Your battleground is your front yard.
No kidding.
True.
Every weekend.
Every night.
Yeah.
So,
it's gnarly.
But
so I of course we want everyone to be happy, but I think you're right. The Overton window has shifted so far that I don't know if this administration, whose allies think that just being a Trump supporter makes you a terrorist.
That's awful, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's a horrible way. And this is where the star of Mandalorian, Gina, I can't remember catch her last name, but Carano. But the thought of when your neighbor hates you because of the way that you think, then it primes you up for the government to come in and say, we don't want that type of thought process or that type of person or that ideology to infest,
tough, man. As long as
their agenda.
As long as that kid stays in his house, think whatever the hell you want. Well, remember we went down to and joined the Cajun Navy when was it Harvey came through?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met some great guys who were pathfinding, facing the storm, trying to find people and communicate, open lines of communication. Met some really great guys that saved our butt from getting drowned, and the water was up to the car window, the truck, the van window. It was crazy. Man. And we met him the next day, and he had a Confederate flag in his.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means to him in his heart. Well, he had the Confederate battle flag. He didn't have the Confederate flag per se, but whatever. That's pedantic.
Yeah.
So was he a terrible Confederate-loving racist, or was he just a dude who loves Southern pride? I choose to believe it's the second one because he was such a great guy. He was a great guy. I knew nothing about him. Then I saw the flag hanging in his garage. I'm like, oh.
And I don't recall on those rescue missions turning people away because of the color of their skin.
Yeah, I could care less.
This was Houston. Hello.
Yeah, right.
This wasn't like white North Dallas.
And that
I'm
was
assuming
the thing
that North Dallas is all white, but Highland Park, it's somewhere in the 90%.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I mean, that would never even occurred to anyone that we were with.
No, and I don't really know of anybody
that
in the military that's ever served in combat or being combat trainer in a combat unit who was like, screw them. I don't like them. They're brown.
In fact, I knew a guy he was racist as hell. He was brown. He was American Mexican, but he was brown as hell. and he dropped the N-word and meant it. You know, he called people that, and man, I loved him. He was a great guy, and he went to combat, and guess what? He had black dudes in our unit, and they were best of friends because he never let that interfere with his work. And then he saw light later. I don't think he's racist anymore. But
yeah, I mean, there's a brotherhood.
He made it hard to hear.
And then when I started, we all wore green, right? I mean, we had the BDU, battle dress. They changed it a
The
little
camo?
later. Yeah. It's like you're old when you wear camis.
No shit, man.
But
No
no,
kidding.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I'm against it. You?
Against what?
This.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was gonna say, wow.
No, it's just a huge waste of time. Absolute huge waste of time. It's horrible use of resources. I think it leaves our country vulnerable.
And a terrible slippery slope.
It is a terrible slippery slope because you haven't defined what extremism is. It's.
Are you really going to be satisfied with the Biden administration's definition of extremism? Because you and I are going to be on the chopping block probably. I'm not an extremist.
No. I don't. I honestly.
I'm a classical liberal, for God's sakes.
Same here. I don't even acknowledge that. And I'm going to have to be careful with what I say, but there are certain things in life that are legitimate, and there are certain things that are illegitimate, even when people want you to believe that they're legitimate. So I'll just leave that.
Okay. Well, we're against this.
I'm against that.
Yep.
For sure.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.